Take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there, who gon' take it there? Electricity, 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 electricity. You know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air, you know what's in the air. It's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility, it's possibility.
So Hasan Piker, left-wing Twitch streamer, who I've brought up plenty of times on this podcast, he comes up more and more in the news, at Coachella, appeared on stage with the Irish rap group called Kneecap, and he essentially facilitated for them to live stream a pro-Palestine message through his stream on Twitch because they had been censored by Coachella the previous night. So this is a rap group from Ireland that deals with censorship all the time. They're extremely outspoken. They come from sort of an Irish Republican perspective, which means that they oppose British colonialization and the UK, and they have gotten themselves in a lot of trouble by speaking to that message. They, were awarded grants as a group for musical exports from Ireland, which were blocked by the UK. They ultimately won that case and were able to split the money among certain causes in Ireland that they favored. They've just dealt with censorship for their message from the Democratic Unionist Party in Ireland, which are essentially pro-British colonialization. It would be the same as a rapper like me getting reprimanded by the Republican Party in America. So in other words, they're cool, they're good, they do this free speech shit for real, they do this anti-colonialism shit for real, and because of that, they're also supporters of Palestine, as many in Ireland are. Biden has actually faced rebuke from politicians in Ireland and many of the people in Ireland over his support of Palestine, and Biden is Irish, so there's many people in Ireland that view that as a betrayal of his beliefs, not just like tepidly refusing to condemn genocide, but actively aiding and abetting it and enabling it. That is what Joe Biden is responsible for. And so Kneecap is a group that, while talking about their own life coming up in Ireland and general sort of working class struggles, they also talk a lot about colonialism, and they point their aim at colonialism. And a lot of times rap music is it's sort of a blunt force tool where the music itself is meant to convey a certain energy, and maybe it has a certain lyrical content that's directly focused, but then it can be targeted in certain directions as essentially a tool of free speech and a tool of wearing down the censorship of free speech. And that's what Kneecap has been doing. And so it's really commendable because they're this rap group from Ireland, and that's not necessarily something that you see on the global stage a lot, although there are many rap groups in Ireland, and rap music has a pretty deep history in terms of how it is used to communicate across various factions in Ireland. Same way that it functions in America. It's a sort of cross-native, a cross-country communication tool, something that you can use to signal to people from far away. And that is what Kneecap has done on the issue of Palestine. They were censored the night before on Coachella. They're, prominently featured in the live streams that Coachella was doing, but the pro-Palestine part of their message was censored. So that's not surprising. And really, that's exactly what should be happening when you are on a platform like that. When you are on a platform that either actively or tepidly aids and abets in the genocide that is being committed by Israel and the United States, you want to push a message that is going to force them to shut you down, or almost force them to shut you down, or make them feel like they have to shut you down. That's kind of the point. And context is important, but there's always that question of how seriously am I going to take the responsibility to do the right thing when I'm put on this enormous platform? And these guys are no stranger to the fact that they're performing in America. Americans are fairly ignorant, especially the type that are going to go to Coachella. So to blast this message to as many of them as possible in an unapologetic fashion is kind of an imperative. And it's just not the type of thing you see from a lot of American rappers. Some, for sure. Red Veil is a younger American rapper who did the same thing at some music festival a little while back. I can't quite remember which, but he went through the names of a lot of the Palestinians that had been killed there. That was unfortunately very early on into the genocide, so many people have been killed since then. I mean, it's an example of how these platforms can be used to that effect, because not only are you blasting it out to a bunch of people in the crowd, but also these moments go viral. And then if the company censors you, that's also going to go viral. So Hasan was smart for picking up on that, and for picking up on the fact that this was a moment and this was a group to show some solidarity with. And that's why I like Hasan. This is why Hasan, I think, is emerging as some type of leader on the left in a way that others aren't. When it comes to commentators or just whoever, is because Hasan goes out of his way to show solidarity in ways that actually have some material effect. And that is what we need, especially when it comes to musicians and free speech and getting this pro-Palestine message out there, which is not something that Hasan is a stranger to. He consistently advocates for Palestine. He's one of the most vociferous advocates of Palestine. But identifying that this Kneecap group is also an essential piece of that message, and doing whatever he can to help get his message out there. Now, the unfortunate downside is the people who are going to see it because of Hasan's stream are not necessarily the first ones that need to be exposed to the pro-Palestine message. But still, I mean, to take a censored message and then reroute it to, several hundreds of thousands or whatever people are going to see it because of Hasan's stream, that is extremely valuable, and it's a very valuable form of solidarity. And so I just think we should think in terms of that instead of like transactional relationships. Hasan is definitely not perfect. I've criticized him before. People, some people don't think I criticize him enough. Some people think that I shouldn't criticize him, or that I criticize him too much. I stand by what I've said about him, but this is why I cover him positively. And this is why I think he's a positive figure, because he does stuff like this, and it's both putting him at the right side of history, obviously, and it's also making him very useful to people who need to get a message out there, whether it be Kneecap or the firefighters that he was interviewing in LA. So I think that not only showing up for people like that, but having a sense of culture and having the awareness to identify cultural figures that it's good to stand next to and to help magnify their message. I think that that's like an essential piece of the message that we need right now, because we need to take back ground, not just on the political stage, but culturally as well. And we haven't lost as much ground as we think. It's just, conservatives have been able to create this sort of illusion that their ideology has some type of cultural popularity, but really that's hollow, it's thin. And what really undergirds the culture of America, any type of real culture that travels, art that is powerful and resonant, it's always rooted in resistance. It's rooted in free thinking and, free speech, and fearlessly advocating for those that need to be advocated for. That's what rap music specifically can be a great vessel for. And that's why I like Kneecap. They have a documentary on Netflix. I think it's kind of like a biopic / documentary. It's kind of like fused between the two, partially fictionalized, I think, but also based in reality. And I like the fact that they are not only taking on this like super combative message, but they're doing it on the world stage. They're doing it fearlessly. They've fought against the powers that be and censorship time and time again, and they're going to keep going. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if these guys get targeted. I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing that people in the administration are going to see, and they probably are going to, be hit with some kind of restrictions about coming back here. Who knows what's going to happen? But that is exactly why it's important for them to do this. And that's exactly why it's important to amplify the message as much as possible, so that when the powers that be come for them and try to prevent them from coming into the country or whatever, lots of people can see that. And lots of people can bear witness to what's happening and understand that the government is doing that, and not allow them to do it behind closed doors and in the dead of night. So that's the value of Hasan doing what he's doing, and that's the value of using rap music to amplify this message as far and as wide as possible, and to give it a truly boisterous and explosive edge, is because there's no better show of free speech than hip-hop. It's been constantly censored since its inception. And while, the content is varied, not all of the content is like free speech, absolutism. What rap music has done very well in our culture is subvert expectations and subvert polite society's expectations of what can or can't be said. It's altered the dialect and the way that all of us speak, little words and flips of phrases that have become embedded in the dialect. That's the power of rap music. And I personally don't feel that enough rappers use it to that end, use it to try to influence the culture on purpose. I got some pushback from people on my criticism of Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl, because I thought that his performance was excellent and the message was great. But it was also not that clear of a message. It was an example to make a very clear statement, and I didn't think that he did that. And there was some, there's a lot of substance and layers to the message with Kendrick Lamar. There always is. However, if you're really a fan of his, then you know that sometimes the layers are the point. And you can kind of keep digging through those layers. You're not necessarily going to find a concrete message. And that was an opportunity, I thought, to give us a concrete message. And this is, with Kneecap, that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I mean, if anyone wonders what I meant by that, Kneecap is a good example of how to not take your platform for granted. Not saying Kendrick did that, but a lot of rappers do, for sure. And speaking of Kendrick, I want to play this little clip from his performance that I never played last time because I didn't see it till after the fact, but I mentioned the guy during Kendrick's performance who unfurled the Palestine flag and was running around on stage and then eventually got tackled and dragged off the stage. What I didn't realize is you can actually see that guy for a significant portion of the performance and the live stream cameras, and you can also see him get tackled and dragged off stage live on air. It's actually pretty insane, and I'm surprised nobody has shared this clip. So let me play this real quick because I think it's just another good example of what we're talking about here. Yeah, so that's insane. I never realized that you could see him get dragged away so openly in that performance, and that was live streamed on TV. So I mean, that's free speech. That's what I'm talking about. I said in that video, it's not free speech unless they're dragging you off stage. It's not free speech unless they're shutting you down, unless you are at threat of not being able to enter the country again if you say it. That's free speech, and especially when you are using that not to the end of some kind of hate speech or something like that, but you're using it to the end of solidarity with an oppressed people that you don't necessarily have to stand by, that you could ignore and turn your head the way most people are, but you choose to stand by them and speak for them and allow them to speak through you because you know that that's what's right. That's free speech. And that's what rap is for. That's what hip hop is for. And all the other stuff is cool too. I'm a fan of all kinds of rap music. But, these two white boys from Ireland are showing us how it's done right now. And I think we all need to show some solidarity with Kneecap and Red Veil and anybody else speaking to this message. Ethel Cain, Rachel Zegler. We got to stand by these people. We got to show some solidarity because they're at real threat. This is not just a matter of losing your job or whatever, or not being able to perform at a music festival. This is about the actual state coming for you because of something that you said and trying to silence protest about genocide. And that's what all the people I just mentioned are up against to varying degrees. And it's important for us to show solidarity with, because there really is a risk when it comes to putting that message out in such a largely broadcasted way. It is no longer safe in any sense of the word to do that in America. And, the Trump administration has shown that they are going to demonstrate shows of force. And so this is our version of a show of force. This is a show of solidarity. And this is what we need more of, because the only way that we're going to keep these messages alive is by fearlessly continuing to broadcast them, regardless of the consequences. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you really want to support, consider becoming a member. It's the best way to support this channel. I'm posting all kinds of exclusive content there, like podcasts that don't make it to the main page, podcasts about more general things, book reviews, movie reviews, different stuff like that. I'm also dropping music early on there. I got an EP coming out called Dead Internet Theory. That's going to be out in the next week or so. You can hear that early as a member. Also, all the beats, if you like the beats in this podcast, all of that are posted there and more. If there's other stuff you'd like to hear as exclusive content, let me know and we'll work some things out.